All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. Now, amidst a deadlock over the next phase of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, the Israeli military has now launched fresh attacks, killing over 330 Palestinians. And this comes after the Israeli Prime Minister's office said that it had instructed the Israeli army to strike Hamas across the Gaza Strip. Now, the Prime Minister's office further added that these new Israeli attacks was due to Hamas's repeated refusals to release its hostages and also the rejection of all offers received from the U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and other mediators. So as Israel resumed its military strikes, explosions were heard over Gaza cities. Schools in the Israeli towns bordering Gaza have been closed amidst the resumption in hostilities. Now, ambulances were seen racing out of the Nasser hospital in Gaza's Khan Yunis. Now, according to sources, Israel's all-night airstrikes on Gaza City targeted Hamas's top leadership. Now, Hamas has confirmed that its General Mahmoud Abu Watfa, who was responsible for overseeing the police and internal security services in the Gaza Strip, has been killed in these attacks by the Israelis. Also, Hamas official Mohammed al-Jmasi was killed in these attacks along with members of his family, including his grandchildren. In all, at least 5 senior Hamas officials were reportedly killed in these Israeli strikes. Now, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, has said that Israel will show no mercy on Hamas, and also these air attacks by the Israelis on Gaza will continue until all hostages are returned.
The Israeli Air Force initiated a series of attacks against Hamas targets in Gaza. We will show no mercy on our enemies. Let me be very clear. Israel will not stop until all of our hostages are back home. We will make it very clear to the Security Council that if they want to stop the war in Gaza, they have to ensure that the hostages are coming back to Israel. We are committed to bring them back.
Now, according to the White House, the United States was consulted by the Israelis before launching these air attacks over Gaza. In an interaction with Fox News, the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that whether it is Hamas, Houthis or Iran, now all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America will see a price to pay. Meanwhile, after some tense cross-border clashes that left 10 people dead over the last 2 days, Lebanon and Syria have now agreed on a ceasefire. Earlier, the Syrian Defense Ministry had accused Lebanon of crossing into the Syrian territory, abducting 3 soldiers and killing them on Lebanese soil. Now, this, in fact, was the most serious cross-border skirmish since the ouster of the former President Bashar al-Assad in Syria. Furthermore, 2 more people were killed and several others were injured in an Israeli air attack in the southern Syrian city of Dara. Now, according to the Israeli military, the strikes targeted command centers and military sites belonging to the old Syrian regime. All right, now to give us more updates in terms of what is happening in this war, we are joined from Tel Aviv by Mr. Asher Westrop Evans, who is currently an Israeli citizen spokesperson and also a West Asia analyst. He's joining us live on this broadcast. Now, Mr. Westrop Evans, this is a critical moment again in this war where Israel since yesterday night has resumed its campaign of bombing the Gaza Strip. More than 330 people within the Gaza Strip have been killed. What do you think is Israel's strategy here? Has it now given up any further negotiations to continue into the second phase of the ceasefire negotiations?
No, certainly not. And what we've seen here is a highly signposted move to develop the Israeli strategy down the line. You know, we saw initially, of course, Israel signaling they were going to be cutting off aid to Gaza until such time as Hamas was going to take a responsible action, come to the table and actually work towards the resumption of a functional ceasefire deal. Then that was escalated further to the cutting of electricity and other infrastructure resources. Only now, weeks after the initial phase one deal reached its conclusion, have we seen this escalation to full-blown resumption in fighting. This is not something that we in Israel want to see.
Right.
This is not something that path we would like to go down, but Hamas must come back to the negotiating table and return the hostages now before we can have any sort of path towards stability and normalization.
You know, for people who are looking at this conflict unfold from outside, there was a ceasefire that was in place, and the 1st of March is when Israel stopped humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. 7th of March is when the Israelis cut off power for the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. There is a gradation in which the Israeli government under Netanyahu is trying to squeeze the Palestinians more so that they bring about some pressure on Hamas. But the fact is this: Hamas has been saying that it wants Israel to start the second phase of negotiations for the second phase of the ceasefire, which would result in all Israeli soldiers being pulled out of the Gaza Strip, which the Netanyahu government has been reluctant to do. Is that not the reason as to why a ceasefire for the second phase of the ceasefire talks has not gone through?
No, Hamas has not been some benevolent figure looking to move ahead with the ceasefire purely on existing terms. What they want to do is to be able to move us ahead to drip out the remaining hostages, whether they be alive or dead, the 59 remaining hostages that still remain inside Gaza. They want to drip those people out, continue to use them as tools and not treat them as truly human beings, and at the same time remain in power. That is Hamas's ultimate goal here, to keep the people of Israel under their constant threat of their militant terrorism, and of course to keep the people of Gaza under their yoke and under their control at the threat of further attack and further threats from the Hamas militant organization.
One quick question before we let you go.
And allowing a reconstruction.
Right. One quick question. Does Israel under Netanyahu intend to withdraw completely from the Gaza Strip, or does Israel want to control the Gaza Strip militarily, especially the Philadelphia corridor?
Israel has always been very clear. If Hamas were to be removed from power, if there was a demilitarization inside Gaza and there was a move to de-radicalize the Gazan people from their militant intent against Israel and their willingness to lay down arms and move forward towards a peaceful and stable solution, which involves the returning of the hostages, of course, as a key term, Israel would most certainly be on board for that sort of initiative. As we've seen, Hamas has not shown any willingness to be removed from power. And while the moderate Arab states in the nearby region, of course, Gaza, Jordan, and others in the nearby region have begun speaking about reconstruction plans, at the moment, there isn't a concrete plan in place for Hamas to either remove itself willingly or to be functionally removed from power. And until that time happens, will not be able to return to a status quo of October 6, 2023, much as Hamas would like to return back to those days.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.